for people that are either thinking about making that leap into full-time entrepreneurship or are starting that business and they're trying to figure out if they do free up their time, what should they be focusing on?
Yeah. Have you ever read the book, The One Thing by Gary Keller?
I love it, and I'm emailing back and forth with the dude. He needs to come on the podcast. We're so close, Wally. We're so close. I had Jay on.
Absolutely phenomenal game changer book. I read it in 2013 and I've read it now 7 times. I fell in love with it so much that I became one of Gary Keller's coaches, speakers, and authors for The One Thing. I've really embraced it. And he's got a question. It is, what is the one thing such by doing it makes everything else easy or unnecessary? What is the one thing such by doing it makes everything else easy or unnecessary? Unnecessary, right? And when you realize that as a loan officer, and I'll just take what I do for a living or what I've done for 24 years for a living, you go out there, you find a referral partner, you get the referral partner to fall in love with you, they refer you a client, you get the client fall in love with you, you cover options, payments, closing costs, blah, 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 run it through underwriting, all the written row of like what a loan officer does for a living. But the number one thing, what is the one thing such by doing it makes everything else easy or necessary? It's prospecting, which leads to influence. I get paid a lot of money to influence. That is literally the number one thing I've got to do, and I've got to do that well. So influence is persuasion. Influence is leadership. Influence is vision casting. Influence is sourcing new opportunities. So when I say I do one thing and I do one thing all day long, it's influence. So for you, if you're starting a new business, what is the one thing that you can do that makes everything else of your new business easier and necessary? For me, it's influence. You've got to figure out what it is for you.
And I would imagine it's a bit of a trial and error process in the beginning, isn't it? It's like a battle of lag versus lead measures.
Yeah, it is. I'm not a prop guy, but
he's a prop guy, guys. For everyone listening, Wally is in fact a prop guy.
Well, it'd be a pretty good prop. But
all right, everyone needs to go on YouTube to look at what he's doing right now. Actions Academy YouTube channel. We're live.
Right. So I'll break it down this way. So when I meet with loan officers, they say, "Hey, Wally, I've had ups in my career, I've had downs in my career, I've had ups in my career, down in my career, ups in my career. But look at my trajectory. My trajectory has been up, right? I'm super successful. I've been up." I'm like, yeah, I get that. But you had highs where you had momentum, but then you had lows that you lost momentum. What happens as a business owner when you lose momentum? You lose income, you lose opportunity, and you've got to bounce back, which takes more effort. So you lost income, lost momentum, and now you've got an effort to bounce back. Then you use all the effort to bounce here, then you lost it again and bounce here. The difference is where you get really, so this is what I learned to do.
All right, we got another one. We got the stair steps.
You got the stair steps. So ready, aim, fire. Ready, aim, fire. Ready, aim, fire. And when you aim on best practices for a business, which you find that from books you read, mentors that you attract, other business owners are crushing in the space. And if you aim with doing it the best way it can be done instead of doing the best you can do, when you fire, you're hitting bullseye. Aim again at that next stage of your business with the best somebody that you've learned from someone else, mentors, books, blah, blah, blah. You hit bullseye again. There's no downturn. So the biggest reason why I'm really effective in my day-to-day today is because I've really learned how well to aim. Where I think the newer entrepreneur and newer business owner, it's not really that easy to aim. You're like, oh yeah, like you're trying, but you're just trying all these different things. So yes, you're correct. Most entrepreneurs just try a bunch of things until they figure it out. But what if there's a cheat code of figuring out what you need to try, how to try it, and what's the most effective way of trying?
I love that. And to circle back to something that you said in the beginning of the interview, you were talking about not only finding people that were successful as mortgage loan officers and running successful mortgage companies, but also people that were successful as fathers and that were present with their family. And I think that's very important because a lot of people talk about mentorship and they say, where do I find a mentor? How can I find a mentor? How can I stand out to the mentor? And they have no idea what the hell the person is that they're trying to become even looks like. But you had a really crystal clear idea about what that person looked like. And then that's what gravitated you towards the person that had the time management skills and with their family outside of the business. Can you speak to a little bit more of best practices on finding and attracting these top tier mentors into your life?
It's the easiest thing in the world to do. It is literally the easiest thing in the world to do.
Talk to him, brother.
I'll repeat it again. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. If you're a high achiever, you're a reader. If you're a high achiever, you're a learner. Okay, simple as that. We all read books. And what do we do with that book? We go through, make our highlight, make our notes. And the really top achievers go through and create an implementation strategy. But how many of us reach out to the authors? So from 2013 to 2019, I've kind of pulled back a little bit right now, but for during that 5-year window, every book I read, I reached out to the author.
No way.
Myself to the author. I introduced myself to the author and say, hey, I just completed your book. I've got 10 ahas that I really learned from the book. It's one thing I'm struggling with. May I have 10 minutes of your time over the phone or via email? 40-50% of the time, they would never respond or tell me to go pound sand. About 10% of the time, they'd welcome a meeting face-to-face for a coffee or lunch. And about 30-40% of the time, they'd allow me to jump on a phone with them or a Zoom with them. Or there was a guy, where was he? He wrote the book Scale. Yeah, Jeff Hoffman.
Jeff, yeah, he's on the show.
Okay, I got to go to
I didn't even know his book. But yeah, he's been on the show.
Yeah, so I got
Priceline.com.
Yep, that's exactly. He wrote a book called Scale. I got to go in his office for a full 8-hour day shadowing. I got to shadow this hours of his day. Now, that cost me $25,000 donation to his charity. Okay. But the culture and the chemistry of a dude that's a billionaire that allowed me to shadow him for 8 hours a day is well worth $25,000. But when I didn't have $25,000 to go spend a day with a mentor, I'd at least pick up the phone and introduce myself to him. And that costs you $0. Sending him an email costs you $0. Finding him on Facebook or social media and sending him a private message costs you $0. Finding him on LinkedIn, sending a message costs you $0. Looking up their address, send them a handwritten note costs you $0. And that's the point we're trying to make is the easiest way to find these mentors is by reaching out to the authors of the books you read.